All right, Sawadee Kop, Rebecca, good to see you. Good to see you. Good morning. Thanks for joining us for this interview of putting resources on the website for people coming to Southeast Asia or overseas in general, and just get an idea from those of us who've been here, just to help equip them. So you've been here in Thailand for close to 11 years. Is that correct? Here in Chichen Sao, Thailand, Eastern Seaboard, as it were. You're about an hour outside of Bangkok. So, hey, listen, you know what? Let's just get straight to it, sis. I'm going to ask some questions. We'll interact a little bit. We'll have some fun. So, the first question is, what are misconceptions regarding short-term or even long-term missions that you feel people have?
I think a lot of times people come wanting to be the heroes, wanting to come and save people, wanting to come and make a difference. And I think there are lots of ways that short-term and long-term missions do impact people's lives. But the hero is always God. God is always the hero of the story. And anytime that we're trying to be a hero in the story, we're kind of missing the point of how can we come alongside what God is doing and contribute our parts and our gifts as part of the body of Christ to this greater picture of what God's already doing, not to take away or to change how the local church is operating and how it's reaching its neighbors with the gospel, but to come alongside and strengthen it and add enthusiasm and to add the pieces that we can bring, the things that God's uniquely gifted and equipped us for. So I think in terms of like short-term missions, especially, more and more I'm hearing that it has no purpose, that the church in North America is saying, like, why do we still send short-term missionaries? Do they have any impact at all? Is it a good thing, or do they do more harm than good? And I think the answer is they can, but there's ways to do short-term missions well, where you can actually impact a nation and a group of people through relationship in really powerful ways. And so I don't think the answer is no more short-term teams or no more missionaries being sent out, but I think there's a posture that we have to take as short-term people and as missionaries.
Amen. Amen. Beautiful. I love that. That leads me to my next question. Actually, what is a situation or scenario of let's say a challenging team or a team that, maybe did cause some confusion or hurt feelings or some harm, as it were, probably unintentionally, but are there any kind of stories or instances that come to mind?
There's several stories that come to mind. One thing I would say here is that if you come as a team, it's really good to come with a posture of working together as a team, choosing to resolve your own conflict within your own team, having a clear way of doing that and making a decision before you even come that you will work together. And even when people are under culture stress and when they're struggling, that you will surround them as a team and support one another. And that just takes a ton of pressure off of your hosts if you do those kinds of things internally. I wouldn't say we've had any bad teams. We've had some less than beautiful moments with teams. But no team has been like just a bad team where we would say like, oh, they came with totally wrong motivations. They messed everything up. We had to do damage control for months. We haven't had a bad team in that way. But I would say there's some things that teams need to recognize, like if you decide to make schedule changes once we've made arrangements for you, sometimes that causes our team to lose face. And in Thai culture, that's a big deal if our pastors and leaders lose face because we've said, okay, we're going to go into this school or that school. We're going to do these activities. Like that affects the credibility of our foundation as a whole. That affects the community's view of the person that's gone into the school to contact them and to make the arrangements. And so I think when we commit to following the schedule the local team has set up, I think it's very important to actually follow through on that and to do the best we can to do the activities laid out for us. And there's lots of communication ahead of time with scheduling and everything. And so to be prepared for those things is really important. And that's something people can do ahead of time.
Yeah.
Another moment with a team that was I think another really important thing for short-term teams to recognize is to trust the people who've been here for a while, who have experience in this culture. Because I think sometimes we go in with our own ideas of what is right and wrong and how things should be done. And sometimes that's just not how it works in another culture. And so what we consider not okay, another culture might say is totally fine. And I just think of one experience we had with a short-term team. Things were going really well. And then we got to a point where there just started to be all this suspicion going on and all these questions around money. And so they were asking like, why are we paying for this or why are we paying for that? And when we talked about it and set up the budget, we talked about how when we serve together and we're doing meals together with people we're serving with, like if our team is eating together like that, we would request that you would be the ones who would provide for that cost because in order for our team to go out with you, like they can't actually afford to be eating out with you. And so if you're not providing that extra cost as they take time to take you to the restaurants, as they take time to go different places with you, then they can't actually do that. Like they don't have a budget for hosting teams in their lives or in their, yeah. And a lot of them don't even have backup money in the case of an emergency. And so to take that pressure off of them, one of our requests is that in our context, when you come and you serve as a team, that you also pay for the food for other people. But for Thai people, food is so important, and food that tastes good is so important. And so if you're coming as a team and you're saying like, we can't do anything spicy, and so then and then the Thai team says, okay, can we order one thing that's spicy so that we can like have happiness as we eat, so we can enjoy this meal together, right? Then when you look at the bill and you go, well, our team didn't eat this. Like you can't just separate that out. There's a connection there, and there's things that you might not understand culturally, but if you can trust like that we are not going to rip you off, that we really just want everyone to have good connecting time together and to work together well. I think those are the kinds of moments where you can ask questions, but like ask your question rather than holding it in your heart and going, we don't trust these people anymore, and we're going to let this build and stew until the end of our trip when we finally talk about it. And so I think like just even that, like not stewing, but being really quick to clear up any misunderstandings or confusion, pulling whoever your host is aside and saying, "Hey, I don't really know what happened here. Can you help me understand this?" Rather than putting judgments on people like they're ripping me off or I'm being taken advantage of. Really, like if we are coming on a short-term trip, we are coming to serve. And so like hopefully that's the attitude we're coming in with anyway, to be able to say, I'm here to serve. I want to do what I can to bless the people around me who are running after Jesus and inviting other people along in this journey. I think, Cecil, you had an example of another cultural misunderstanding moment.
Yeah, absolutely. When you told me that moment about the team looking at that one dish, I just cringed inside. Like for me, that is being here, Southeast Asia, like someone would do that and say that and like bring it up. Like I'm, anyways, just so cringeworthy, sister. Yeah, just really quick to your point, you brought up some really good points. I think here in Southeast Asia, relationship and shaming honor is really important, and honoring one another as opposed to right, wrong, innocent, guilty, black, white that we're used to, our own rights or privileges or what have you. But here we lay down our lives and our rights and our privileges, right? And something that you and I have learned is that when you come and the first, even for long term, the first couple weeks, first several years, you're in a posture of learning. Like, let me soak this all in. Let me learn. Let me ask a lot of questions. I'm trying to like reframe my mind of the way I see evangelism and discipleship and like all these things. So anyways, just a quick story about like shame and honor communication here in Southeast Asia that's different from the States is that there's a scenario of some people, you know, staying at a hotel and they went back out of town, but they had their keys and they forgot to leave it at the hotel. So one of our interns was contacted by the hotel and she was quite, I think, perturbed, like, hey, you took my keys, like, yeah, like I need my keys back to the hotel room, right? And so, you know, one of these families also like I think left some clothes or toys or something small. And so she came and she communicated and said, hey, I need to come back. And to some of the people, she said, uh, yeah, I got to come anyways to bring the toy. You know, for other people who actually have the keys and they forgot to return the keys, she told them that like, oh, I got to come anyways. The people who had the toy or whatnot, she said, oh, well, I got to come in anyways because I'm bringing the key. So at the end of the day, they talked to me, you know, they talked to me and there was also suspicion and like, why would she lie to us? Why would she be deceitful? And so, as you and I do, we need to kind of unpack that. We need to explain that. We need to. So what I said was, it's actually two sides of the same coin. Like one side, she's telling you two sides of the same coin. She's telling you, oh, I have to come anyways to drop that off, which is true. And to the other people, she's telling them the other side of the coin, which is I have to come anyways to pick up the key, which is also true, right? But she told you that she's coming anyways because she didn't want you to feel guilty, to feel bad, to feel embarrassed, to feel like you're losing face, to feel dishonored or disrespected. Like those are all the reasons. Like she's trying to raksa kwam sampan, right? Like she's trying to preserve the relationship with you. And so she's telling you that version of the story. So both versions are actually the same, but then our friends in the West, it took them a while to actually reframe like, oh, that's what she's doing. Because in their mind, they're like, if you would have just told me, you guys forgot the keys, I'm having to drive my butt all the way 45 minutes, you know what I mean? Then maybe they would have felt bad and say, oh, I'm sorry, here's so much money. Well, thanks. Okay, but that's not how communication works here in Southeast Asia. So anyways, that was just a little example. But sister, one of my questions was what's some advice that you would give, but I think you already did. I don't know if there's anything else, but you've already given a lot of really good advice for short-term and long-term. Teams come in posture of heart, how, you know, we come, when you were talking about we come to bless, for me, that was just like lights blinking, like ding, ding, ding. The best teams are the ones who come, they're humble, they have teachable, coachable spirits, they come to bless, they come to be hospitable, they come to help, they come to encourage, you know, not be a burden. Like though they come to have fun,
Mhm.
and and they're flexible and they love people. Those are the best teams. Those are people who we want to come and want to come again and again. And it makes it just a joy all around. And also, I want to say, when you're talking about schedule and all the time and energy that you and I put into schedule, I think people need to recognize and understand that. I had a team one time that we were going to go to a school and give away like 350 little, packets with like toothbrushes and toothpaste and soap and a little, Jesus track. And I think it was a Jesus DVD as well, And so we had the team help us pack it up. And it took, there's like 350 or 400 sets or whatever. So it took us like a solid hour and a half or something like that. At the end of the week or 2 weeks, the team said, maybe next time you guys pack that ahead of time without us, kind of as if it was a waste of time. And so I had to educate and say, okay, me and Tracy and our 4 boys, with your team, we did it like in an hour and a half or something like that. That would have taken us like 7. So you want us to take like 7 hours? We're like doing other stuff just, so that you didn't have to spend an hour and a half. And so sometimes it's just understanding the work that we do here ahead of time, and also to go with the flow. And if things change, like say there's things in our schedule, but here in Southeast Asia, sometimes something changes, right? For us,
Just sometimes.
right? All the time with our leaders, something changes where we're asking them to be flexible, to go with this new route, right? Like a river, right? It just goes around it. And we need them to trust us and say, okay, you guys we all plan on doing this. It's not going to work out. It's going to look different. So trust us and just go with it. But the last question I would love to ask is, what are some ways that people could help bless and encourage the ministries, the people, the families in which they come in contact with? Is it just, you come, you swoop in, you have a wonderful God experience, you leave, you have pictures, and then, you just kind of live your own life? Or is there a better way to kind of partner with the ministries in practical ways even?
Yeah. One of the things that I often say to teams when we debrief together before they head back is I say, we're not sending you, um, we're not just taking you to the airport, like we're sending you off. And we're sending you off as representatives of our ministry and like the things that you've been part of here. And our hope is that you're going to take these things and that you're going to share them with your churches, you're going to share them with your community, that what you've seen here and the impact it's had on your life, that you're actually going to continue to spread that story and represent us. And to be able to say like, hey, you've been part of this ministry in Thailand, and there's a ton of people who are being raised up as leaders right now. And that training maybe takes prayer ministry. Like maybe somebody's being called to pray intentionally for a specific person or for a specific part of the ministry. Maybe somebody is going to give to the ministry. Maybe somebody even has a skill set that's needed. You've seen the need here, and like this person, they're actually really, really equipped and gifted at this area that's lacking. What if they came and served with you for a little while? We're sending you back as representatives of us and of our ministry to update your churches, to I always invite people to give. Like, you've been part of this trip. What if you even committed to just $10 a month, that you are going to say, I've seen this ministry, I believe in it, and now I'm going to back it. Even if only for a year, you say, okay, I'm committing because I've seen what God's doing. But I'm going to make that decision because I've been part of it and because it's impacted my life. And I want to continue to have a commitment to this ministry and to this team. Or I ask people, is there one person that God's inviting you to commit to praying for a year? Where you would say, I met this person, I'm going to pray for them every so often I'm going to send a message to Rebecca or to a different missionary here and say, like, how is this person doing? Is there a specific way I can be praying for them? Or with social media and the level of English of some of our people, like, that could even be a direct connection to be able to say, hey, I'm praying for this person. I'm praying for you. And I just want to know, like, is there something that I can be specifically praying for and contending for with you spiritually right now? Yeah, and I think those are all really practical ways that teams can continue to impact ministry here after they've been here.
That's beautiful. I love how you encourage people to partner in a variety of different ways. I think a lot of times in the West, sometimes people have in their mind, like, if I can't give whatever, 150 bucks a month, like it's not going to help. It's not going to be helpful. It's not going to benefit. It's not going to really make an impact, right? But what what you said, here are a variety of different ways. And in fact, if there's a Bible study or small group somewhere that has like 20 people, and if each person there said, I'm not going to do a Starbucks like once a month or something, or a little Tim Hortons, whatever, once a month or twice a month or something like that. And that $10 I'm given. So you have $10 once a month given by 20 different people. That's literally $200. But $200 here in Thailand, like a lot of meals are like cheap meals are like $2. Like we could literally feed like maybe like 30 families or something with that. And so by each person saying, you know what, this is going to be I usually, whatever, Friday afternoon, I always get a Starbucks or whatever. Can one of those weeks fast from that kind of drink or what have you? I think making space and room in our life and committed to it, like you said, a year, 2 years, whatever. I think that we would recognize that it really takes a team of us coming together alongside Rebecca, alongside, ministries and Hope Center and Churchasal, and you know what I mean, here as well. And it's all of us together. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's encouraging when we look and we get the reports and we see all the families and the churches and the individuals and the single moms and single dads and college students. I don't know about you, but I just look over that and I bless them, Lord. Thank you for them. Like they're sacrificing, and what they're saying is they're in this together with you, Rebecca, with me and our family, with the Thai people and what have you. So anyhow, sis, we could do this all day, but just want to say thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It was fantastic. And Lord bless you. Sawadee Kap.
And you as well.